All right, here we go. Welcome, everybody. My name is Matthew Cloud from Eagle Point Funding. Tonight, we are gathered here today to discuss a little bit about Federal Funding 101 with a highlight on the Department of Energy's SBIR for their funding year 2021. So let's get started. Just to let everybody know, you will all get a recording of this webinar after it's completed. In addition, this QR code will be on just about every slide. This is an opportunity. You just hold your smartphone up to that QR code. It'll automatically bring you to my calendar where you can book a call with me privately to discuss the applicability of your company for these grants. And just to let everyone know, anyone who books a call with me from the webinar is going to receive an extra month of Eagle Point Funding's service. Any contract that we sign, you get a bonus month. Our typical contract is a 9-month contract, so that would mean you would get a 10-month contract just by booking from this webinar today. So with that being said, let's get started. So every year, the United States federal government pumps billions of dollars into research and development efforts, specifically from small business. The proposed budget for 2021 is $142.2 billion. With the administration change, we do expect this number to go up. As you can see, it was proposed. Last year, it was around $160 billion. But the part that we focus on at Eagle Point Funding is this area shaded in red. It's about $30 to $60 billion annually allocated to private industry. That's people like you. Now, all of this money that the United States federal government gives out in these federal grants is non-dilutive funding. Now, what that means is that in exchange for this funding, you don't need to give up any equity in your company. You don't need to give up any rights to your IP, even the IP that you devise under the guise of one of these grants. It all remains yours. They don't want a seat at your table. They don't want to influence the direction that you're taking your company commercially. Really, this money is just meant to stimulate you to create the technology that the federal government actually wants to become a customer of at the end of the R&D road. I mean, there are many reasons for this, and I'll explain them later. But contrast this with dilutive funding from venture capital and angel investors who are amazing, because without them, most small businesses couldn't take off. But we are not talking about that here, people. We're talking about non-dilutive grants. These guys are going to want an equity stake in your company. They're going to want to add board members to your company to influence the company decisions. Could involve, transfer IP transfer rights, conflict of interest, et cetera, et cetera. So moving on. There are 4 main industries in which the government invests: defense, cyber, energy, and advanced materials. Now, you'll notice, I'm going to go back to this page so you guys can scan these topics, find yourselves here. But you'll notice that there is just about every type of deep technology here. And for any technology sector that doesn't fall into those 4 categories, defense, cyber, energy, or advanced materials, you have an other topics category. So the bottom line is, if you have deep technology, if you have revolutionary technology, if you are improving the efficiency of a certain process, the federal government wants to fund you. So as you can see here, many companies all got their start with federal funding. You could be just like them. But not only are there small companies or large companies, but not only are there private organizations like these that have gotten funded, but staples that we use every day, like Siri or GPS or the internet, even all came to fruition through federal grants. So there was a study by the Milken Institute in 2012, which is actually a really interesting one, that measured the applicability for private capital, based on companies that have won federal funding. And what they found is that 8 years later, the company that received federal dollars was actually able to leverage those awards into an 800% return when it comes to venture investment, when it comes to getting capital, to getting equity, raising equity capital. So it says you become the hallmark of quality. I prefer the gold standard, but not just to investors and VCs and and the like, but also to your customers. How cool would it be to put on your website, endorsed by the Department of Energy, funded by the Department of Energy? I mean, like that's what this is all about here. So why does the federal government do this, right? Why do they give out this, what translates to free money? Well, we say that there are two reasons. And the first is that they're seeking solutions to challenges that they have within their agency. Now, I'll tell you that the United States federal government currently have and have always had these large scale contractors that they've worked with, like the Northrop and the Raytheon and the Boeing and the Microsoft and Intel and et cetera, et cetera. And what they found is that these guys are really great, really fantastic at continuing to produce the technologies that they already produce. But when it comes to innovating, when it comes to creating something new, these guys it's a lot more costly for them to develop new technologies. It's a lot more, and even at the high cost, they're slower to respond to these calls. And so what the United States federal government has found is that by reaching out to the private sector, and particularly small business, they know that you guys are hungry. They know that you guys are motivated. You know that you guys are innovative. And rather than wait for those large scale companies, rather than wait for that Raytheon, rather than wait for Raytheon to, buy your technology from you to sell to the government, they said, well, you know what, we can give these guys a chance to cut out the middleman and help stimulate the economy, help develop a growing portfolio of government contractors. And so here's how it works. First, they identify a pain point that they have within their agency. Then they post an opportunity for R&D funding. This comes in the form of RFAs, RFIs, RFPs. And then what they do is they see what you guys come back with. They see what kind of proposals they get. And then they decide to make an investment in you. Then they evaluate your performance. And now this investment is typically a phased approach where they're going to give you a little bit of money to start and then see how you perform under a proof of concept period or feasibility study. And then they'll evaluate your performance and decide whether or not to award you for prototyping. And at the end of the road, you have the opportunity to become a federal contractor. This is a gateway into contracting with the federal government. Now, that's what we sell at Eagle Point Funding. We are grant consultants. We write these grants for you, but and we don't even take anything from the contracts that you strike with various agencies within the United States federal government. But that is our ultimate goal, is for you to become a government contractor. It's to help you get through that red tape. Now, we say that the second reason that the United States government gives out this money is seed money for private industry. This has both altruistic and capitalistic motives, but we're talking about the United States federal government here, people. Let's be honest. Even their altruistic motives have some sort of capitalist element to them. So that being said, they're very focused on putting their federal stamp on the technology that is going to shape the future. They are so interested in stimulating the technology that is really pushing the boundaries of technological innovation coming out of the United States. I love this statistic down here. For every $1 that the United States government spends on stimulating small business, they see a $2.30 return on that investment. That's a 230% return on your investment. I would take that. I would take that rate any day of the week. Now, this comes in the form of taxes derived from job creation, payroll, product taxes on the commercialization of the technology that they're stimulating you to develop. Also on the taxes that you would pay with the grant money that they're giving you. I mean, for materials or facilities or additional salaries, things like that. So how is this broken down? So there are three main mechanisms, two different types. The SBIR and STTR are really coupled together. These are phased funding. Now, I'm not going to discuss the STTR too much today, but the DOE has a lot of STTR opportunities that coincide with their SBIR opportunities. Now, the Small Business Technology Transfer, which is the STTR, is exclusively available for companies that work with a nonprofit research partner, like a federally funded R&D center or a university or something like this. There are requirements that the company has to do a minimum of 40% of the work, and the university has to do a minimum of 30% of the work. If you have an STTR relationship, please book a call with me. Hold your smartphone up to this QR code here. Book a call with me. Let's talk about how we can leverage that. I will tell you, we love working with STTR companies because there are a lot less fishermen in that lake. So that being said, let's talk about SBIR versus BAA. Now, you'll see that it's just a fraction of the federal funding pie, but the SBIR are what we consider to be the low to mid-range hanging fruit. These are typically faster funding mechanisms exclusively available for small business. I will get to that slide next. But in short, broad agency announcements, which make up over 96% of the federal funding available to companies, to private industry, these are longer-winded, multidisciplinary grants. Typically, these are research grants, typically given out for a period of between 2 and 5 years. There are a couple things that make them unique from SBIR. Typically, they're not phased funding; it's continuous funding. But they're a much higher, juicier fruit. At Eagle Point Funding, we go after the whole pie. If you have the STTR relationship, great. If you don't, then we're going after the SBIR and BAAs. We typically will function on an SBIR cycle because the solicitation windows are shorter, maybe 30 or either 30, 60, or 90 days. But BAAs are typically open for a period of anywhere between 3 and 5 years at a time. So, we go for both. So let's talk about SBIR more in depth here. Here's how it works. So first and foremost, this is very important to note. You have to have less than 500 employees. You have to be considered a small business in order to be eligible for SBIR. This is that low to mid-range hanging fruit. You have to have the availability to have the R&D done in the U.S. You don't have to have your R&D done in the U.S. now, but if you win these grants, you have to be able to bring that R&D to the United States. Now, also, you have to have at least 51% ownership of the company held by U.S. residents or individuals, not necessarily citizens, but you have to be you have to have it owned by U.S. residents. Now, this includes being venture owned. You can't have more than 51% ownership of the company held by a venture capitalist. One second. So anyway, here's how it works. So typically, you have you start off with a phase one. You start off with a phase one proposal. This is typically a 6 to 8 month proof of concept stage or feasibility study. You're not really doing much work here, just proving that you can do the work. Now, a lot of people say, oh, you know what? I don't need to prove my case. I already have commercially ready technology. Great. That is who the SBIR is for. That is a very common misconception. This is not for you to create brand new technology that you've only idealized or conceptualized. This is an opportunity for you to take your commercially ready technology and then tweak it, fine tune it through this process, this phased funding approach. So for example, I have a company that recently started working with us. He said, yeah, I just built a $20 million semiconductor chip. What am I going to do with $256,000? And I said, let's call him Joe for the sake of this webinar. I said, Joe, listen, this is not for you to take the $256,000 and build a microchip or semiconductor chip. This is for you to actually go through this process so that you can get here and sell to the United States government. You told me that you've had all of these problems selling to DARPA. They won't. It's like a boys' club. You can't get in. You're banging your head on the wall trying to get you're trying to get through the GSA. And it's grueling for you. You have to pay a lot of money for this, and at the end of the day, you're not even guaranteed anything. Well, with the SBIR approach, they pay you to go through the process. So he started working with us. He is cruising. He is doing very, very well. But anyway, so phase one POC, then you come back and you have to reapply again for phase two. This is anywhere from $400,000 up to $1.6 million. This is where you actually do the work. This is where you create that prototype, that use case that is specific to the solicitation to which you applied. Then afterwards comes the fun part. This is what the Department of Defense and Eagle Point Funding call the Valley of Death, this area right here in between phase 2 and phase 2B or phase 3. And what we mean by that is that this is where most companies go to die. You can prove your concept, you can create a functional prototype, but when it comes to scaling to market, it is so difficult. And it takes so much money and it takes so much effort that this is where the biggest pain point is for small business. And so it's for this reason that there are all sorts of really cool commercialization assistance initiatives from various agencies. From NSF has a program that they call I-Corps. The United States Air Force has a program that they call StratFi for strategic financing. NASA has a program that they call CCRP, the Civilian Commercialization Readiness Program. And this is the awards are here in those commercialization assistance initiatives are anywhere from like $700,000 up to, the highest that I saw was from the Air Force last year. Over the summer, they had an initiative where they were offering up to a $60 million commercialization assistance initiative. That's $60 million. But pretty much every agency has some sort of arm that helps with commercialization, which is outside of the SBIR program, but it's through the agency. So now let's talk about BAAs. Like I said, continuous funding over a period of 2 to 5 years. There are two things that make BAAs unique from SBIRs, and that is really that there are two things. The first is that you typically don't have to continuously reapply based on phases. So you remember here, you have to apply for phase 1, then once you win the phase 1, you do the POC for 6 to 8 months, then you come back and you have to apply again for a phase 2. This is 12 to 24 months. Then you can enter into this area here. Now with the BAAs, you typically apply for a white paper, which is like an invitation to apply or a letter of intent. And then they invite you to submit a full proposal. You submit a full proposal. Once you've been awarded, you're awarded continuously. You don't have to reapply. Now, the other thing that makes this unique are the award ceilings. There virtually are none. It's really project specific for the most part. And if they have, and the only limit is the maximum budget that they have in the program office for the solicitation. So if they technically have $1 million, they could give $1 million $100 million. They could give $100 million to one company, or they could give $1 million to 100 different companies. It really just depends on how well your company can satisfy the solicitation and how much money they have to allocate towards it. Now, again, you can book a call with me privately to speak right by just holding your smartphone up to this QR code. Everyone who does so, it will get an extra month added on to their contract. So what can you use this money for? All this grant money sounds great. Sounds like rainbows and butterflies. Talk to me. What can we use it for? Can we go to Hawaii with it? Well, are the Hawaii on this list? No. But what you can do is you can do anything really related to doing the research and development of the grant. They do even leave room for up to 7% profit. Most SBIRs are around 5%, but the most that any agency offers is a 7% profit margin working under the guise of these grants. Now, a common question that I have is, can you take on multiple grant proposals, you do multiple grants at the same time? And the answer is yes, because you could take your core technology and fine tune it to fit different use cases, and you can work on those things simultaneously, hire the staff that you need to in order to accomplish those goals. And oftentimes, if it's based around your core technology, the differences in the use cases aren't going to be so much or so many. So that being said, one more point that I want to make here. Under the guise of an SBIR grant, you can't, like I said, all the R&D has to be done in the US. You actually have to do 2/3 of that R&D in-house, and you can outsource 1/3 of it. But we could talk more about that when you book a call with me by scanning that QR code. Now let's talk about the DOE SBIR for 2021. This is actually an SBIR STTR. Now, there's a lot of information here. Again, I'm going to send you a recording after the presentation. I will do my best to go slowly. So here are all the offices that are participating in this SBIR. It is huge. They only run 2 times per year. Once in the winter time, and then they run once in the summer. Now it's a process. It definitely is a process. So that being said, let's talk about what they're actually looking to fund. So there are a whole bunch of focus areas here. So there's a huge emphasis on AI and machine learning. It's interesting, the Office of Sciences in the DOE is actually in the process of converting all of their systems over to HPCs. So they are very, very interested in technologies that support HPCs. So we have everything from and this is interesting too, because they're not all about renewables, but they are looking for anything that can help to pull out rare earth elements from polluted sources, bioenergy, advanced manufacturing, things like this. So their Office of Cybersecurity, Energy Security, and Emergency Response, they actually have a really cool cybersecurity topic this round that really has it has broad range. They're looking for during contingency operations really means when the system is down, when they're in between, like when you have to temporarily disable the power to the grid. They want to make sure that the systems remain secure in those moments of vulnerability. Supply chain and acquisition, enhancing organizational cybersecurity awareness. So then you have the Office of Defense Nuclear Non-Proliferation. Again, they're really interested in AI, any sort of microanalytics. Right. And then here's what we were waiting for: the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy. They are very interested in not just smart buildings, but they're interested in converting buildings over into, to energy efficient buildings. It's very cool. I spoke with I spoke with a gentleman who was who was trying to help accomplish this goal by, through replacing glass, and making more energy efficient glass. That was a very interesting conversation that we had. But they love solar technologies. They love any sort of renewables. When it comes to wind or hydro. Oh, and also, converting, and like converting, you know methane to methanol, or hydrogen, hydrogen production. These are the kind of technologies that the Department of Energy are interested in funding. So then we have the Office of High Energy Physics, which is interested in low cost RF power. Everybody loves, 5G is what's hot for the time being, for the next 6 months, something like this. But right, any sort of sensors, high energy physics instruments, things like this. Office of Nuclear Energy. Again, cybersecurity, they're very big on cyber. Emergency preparedness systems. And you'll notice that a lot of these have other topics. So if you have anything that falls under the guise of, anything having to do with nuclear energy, we could apply it to this topic, and and we can make a very compelling case for you. So if you saw anything there that you liked, or you want to dive deeper into the Department of Energy and want to discuss it with me, you may book a call with me through this QR code here. So here's the timeline. I will say that we have our internal deadline of December 21st, and that is really just so that we can adequately draft a letter of intent by the January 4th deadline. Now, here's how the process works. Oh, here we go. That's the next slide. All right, so let's finish talking about these here. So you're going to draft your letter of intent. The letter of intent is, just sort of a phase 0, if you will. They're going to get back to you typically between 1 and 3 weeks, whether or not you're going to be invited to submit a phase 1 proposal. Your phase 1 proposal is due on February 22nd or before. After submitting your full phase 1 proposal, you would be notified of your award by May 17th. I mean, this is subject to change, but it's very nice that they actually gave very specific dates. So that means that they're really going to do their best to meet them. Which would mean that the grant work would actually start on June 28th. All right, so here's how it works. Like I said, that phase 0, it's a 500-word abstract. What's interesting is that you can submit this as many times as you want. So if you get rejected, you can come back and do it again. Like I said, our internal deadline is December 21st. That's to get one in. We would ideally like to have padding, really, to help you determine, exactly the exact use case that you're going to submit, and how we're going to craft it. And we would like to onboard with you beforehand, but December 21st is the last sign-on date. And then we would submit a phase 1 proposal. Now, phase 1 proposals, all of them were 200,000 this round. Last round, they had some that were 200, some that were 100, some that were 250. But this round, we have $200,000 for phase one. It's a 15-page proposal. Then that just goes over. You have to have a path to commercialization. You have to have a market application for the, and a commercialization plan for this, because like I said, the United States federal government is really only interested in funding what we call dual use technologies. So, technologies that have both a private use as well as a public use. So they want to help you with commercialization too. Then your phase two, after you've completed your phase one, will be up to $1.1 million this round for these focus areas. And again, there are crucial elements that go into this proposal. Now, in terms of commercialization, you can read this, or actually I'll read it for you. Federal statutes governing the SBIR STTR programs require federal agencies to evaluate the commercial potential of innovations proposed by small business applicants. To address this requirement, the Department of Energy SBIR STTR programs require applicants to submit commercialization plans as a part of their phase one and phase two applications. Like I said, the Department of Energy understands that commercialization plans will evolve over time, sometimes significantly, during the course of this research and development, but investing time in commercialization planning demonstrates a commitment to meeting the objectives of the SBIR STTR programs. Like I said, these guys are predicated on that B2B, B2G. They want you to commercialize. During the phase one and phase two awards, the DOE will provide small businesses with commercialization assistance through a DOE-funded contractor. So, like I said, all of these agencies have all sorts of really cool commercialization assistance programs. The DOE hooks you up with one of their DOE-funded contractors already to help you fund your project. Here are some of our winners from Eagle Point funding. We were able to, so we have AI-powered facial recognition software, carbon nanotube technology, video live streaming and interactive technologies, smart wearable fabrics and sensors, drone-based data management software. Actually, I love this company. They have really cool advanced materials. So those are some of our winners, and the amounts. We tend to do very well by our clients. And if we don't think we can do well with you, we don't want to work with you. So anyway, there are three major criteria that you need in order to win these grants. First and foremost, you need to have innovative technology. Now, we call this deep tech, revolutionary tech, pioneer tech. Use any synonym you'd like. But the idea here is that you are either A, pushing the boundaries of technological science and innovation, or B, increasing the efficiency of a certain process, thereby changing the way in which we do things, changing the lives of people. If you have the technology that has the capability to increase the efficiency of a certain process, we want to hear from you, because the federal government wants to fund you. Now, two, this is very important, a strong R&D team. We are looking for companies that have PhDs on staff, software engineers that have a proven track record of success with either their current company or previous companies, master's degrees in, I don't know, biotechnology or, computer science or physics, or, these are things that are important. If you are a college student working on a project in your garage, and you have a really cool idea for something nice or for something innovative, I applaud you, but the government isn't going to fund you unless you go and rub elbows with the right people. Now, three, you have to have commercially viable technology. Like I said, we call this dual use. You have both a use in the public sector, in the government, as well as a private use, as well as being commercially viable. Um, so what do you need in order to win these grants? So you need to know the federal funding system. You need to know what the buzzwords are for the agency to which you're applying. You need to know you need to be able to identify multiple funding opportunities. Now, success rates on private submissions, if you were to go after these things on your own, if you were to just submit one proposal, statistically, you would have between an 8 and 15% chance of winning it. Now, that's very low. Now, at Eagle Point Funding, we operate on a multi-submission strategy. So not only do we, oh, it says find and apply. I forgot to put that. But not only are we finding multiple funding opportunities that are relevant to your core technology, but we are writing proposals for you to multiple different agencies, multiple different funding opportunities over a 9-month period. Well, for you guys who book a call with me by scanning this QR code, it's a 10-month period. We are engaging in this multi-submission strategy for you, and our success rates are typically about 3 times that of submitting on your own. And then lastly, you need to be able to tell the story of your technology in a way that is not just technical writing. Even though these guys on the panel might be scientists, they are looking for a narrative. This is a story that you have to tell. You have to have the, like I said, you have to be able to use the right buzzwords. You have to be able to persuade them that what you have is what they need, what they want to fund. They're giving away money here. You have to show them that you are the best candidate for that money. And the way to do that is to write a persuasive document. And this is what we are very, very good at Eagle Point Funding. We have an entire team of professionals who are dedicated to this, who live and breathe this stuff. We have Polytechnic PhDs. We have, like I said, Masters of Sciences. We have people on our team who have Masters of Sciences. But we also have grant writers. We also have grant writers that we've taken from popular newspapers or nonprofits. We have true storytellers, and what we do is we put them together in teams, in eclectic teams, where if one grant writer has a question, they can ask someone else in their team, and it works. The synergies just flow so well. It's amazing. So here's a little bit about who we are. Eagle Point Funding. We are a technology branch of the Freemind Group. Now, the Freemind Group, we're an Israeli company. I'm speaking to you right now from just outside of Jerusalem in Israel. Now, the Freemind Group was started in 1999 in Israel, doing this for Israeli companies seeking to get funded by the Israeli government. Now, in response to anthrax in the early 2000s, we made our entry into the United States federal funding system by helping a couple companies get millions of dollars to combat chemical warfare initiatives. And that was our entry. And since the early 2000s, we have grown exponentially. As a matter of fact, we've started 2 companies that work exclusively with United States federal funding grants. We have Eagle Point Funding, and then we have our sister company called the Freemind Consultants, who work with Alltech Industries, who are life sciences. They work with life sciences and biotech. So if you have anything that's requiring clinical trials or anything, this isn't something that Eagle Point Funding would deal with, but I would be happy to refer you to our sister company, the Freemind Consultants, who would be very, very happy to work with you. We also have two companies that work in Europe with European grants, with the Sunrise and Horizons grants. And then we have our original company that works still in Israel with Israeli companies. So, we have a diverse portfolio. We are the world leader in non-dilutive funding. It says a world leader, but we are the world leader. There is no question. We have raised billions of dollars for our clients. Eagle Point Funding has around 100 active clients currently right now. But over 600 across all 5 of our companies. Like I said, we are professionals. So what to expect when you sign a contract with us. And I guess I'm going to start by telling you what that, our business model, because it always comes up in my webinars. And again, after you hear my business model, please book a call with me by holding your smartphone up to that QR code right there. So we value our service anywhere between $80,000 and $150,000, depending on the client and the scope of work. Now, we recognize that most of our clients that we engage with are small business or startups who either A, can't afford this kind of money, or B, are unwilling to put this kind of money up. And so it's for this reason that we try and structure our fee in a way that is balanced between a success fee of 5%. Now, the success fee is meant to be modest enough not to cripple the R&D, but substantial enough to give us a stake to show you that we are incentivized to go out to win for you, not just to go after them, but to win for you. And then we also charge a consultancy fee, and that's paid up front. And the consultancy fee that's paid up front is meant to be something that is significant enough, that it's substantial enough that you don't want to walk away from winning from one grant or from submitting the grant after we've spent 200 hours on our side putting this thing together for you. But it's also supposed to be affordable. And so that being said, we have our consultancy fee is paid in 2 ways, one of 2 ways. Now, either 2 payments of $18,000. Now, the first payment of $18,000 would be made when you sign the contract. The second payment would be due at the 5th month of that initial 9-month engagement. Well, actually 10-month engagement, because you guys are on my webinar and you're booking a call through my QR code here. Or when that totals $36,000, right? Now, we do offer a discount for companies who would like to pay all up front. And so if you opt to pay all up front, I can make it a flat $30,000 for you, thereby saving you $6,000. I think it's about 17%. So that's our business model. And then that buys you, as long as you book the call with me through this QR code, that buys you 10 months with us. And we're going to go after, on average, so this says between 5 and 10 submissions, but on average, most of our companies end up submitting to between 7 to 10 opportunities, because on average, we're getting about 1 per month. But what to expect when you sign that contract, right? So within 24 to 72 hours of signing the agreement, we're going to schedule a kickoff call with you. Now, on that kickoff call, we are going to we're going to ask you a bunch of questions regarding use cases and current solicitations that are out there that would be centered around your technology, so that we can get a good idea of what we can actually of the different agencies and solicitations that we can go after for you. Now, after that call, that initial call, we're going to get to work, and we're going to put together a strategic roadmap, which by the end of that first week working with us, we're going to get on a second call with you, and we are going to present you with the opportunities that are near term. Like we say, near term is 3 to 5 months. So we're going to present you with all the programs that we think you're going to be applicable to, And if the solicitation has been released already, we're going to present you with the focus topics that we think are going to fit best with your technology. And we're going to consult you and say, well, what do you think? Do you want to go after these? Which ones do you want to go after? Which ones don't you want to go after? And then by the end of that first week, we get to work. Now, for the first submission, it requires the most amount of effort on your side. We say that you're responsible for around 40% of the workload. This is between 20 and 60 hours of work over that 3 to 4 week period. Like I said, on average, we get a submission done every month. So over that month, we're going to require between 20 and 60 hours on your side. And that's really because we don't know you. We don't know your technology, not nearly as well as you do. So this is the dating period. This is like getting to know you. We really want to get to know the technology, and the best way for us to do that is to do it over a submission process. So that isn't to say that we're not working. So what we do is we are going to populate a shared folder for you with customized templates that make it very clear cut what we need from you, just with questions that you just have to answer and put in information. And what we are going to do is we are going to take that information that you give us and we are going to convert it into submission form. We are going to convert it into narrative form. We're going to take the technical writing pieces that you provide, and we are going to make it palatable and attractive to that panel, to that program office. But after that first submission, that 40% workload goes down to 20%. We take on 80% of the work. So then over that 1 month period or over that 3 week period, you guys are responsible for around 10 hours of labor. It's typically less. And this is because we know after that first submission, we have what we need. We know who you are. We know what you do. And we're able to take all of that knowledge and information that we've gained through going through the first submission with you, and we're able to use it to build subsequent submissions. So that being said, like I said, over that, if you book that call, it's 10 months. So over that 10-month long engagement with us, we guarantee a minimum of 5 submissions. However, there are some companies who work with us who end up with 25 submissions over that period, and that's because they're taking on a lot of the workload with us. So it really just depends on each situation is unique and different. How many solicitations there are that apply to your technology. I will help determine that as on a call with you, or maybe on 2 calls with you prior to actually engaging. We are only interested in working with companies that we can identify a minimum of 5 submissions for. So like I said in the beginning, we can't identify enough submissions, we're not going to work with you. It's just, and we'll say thank you, but no thank you. We've been around long enough, thank God. We've actually built a beautiful company that is very successful and does very, very well by our clients. We're actually getting ready to start a program that we call Deep Tech Showcase for companies that aren't necessarily our companies, but it's open to our companies as well. But for SBIR winners or people who have commercially ready technology that are applying with us to direct to phase 2s, where we will help put you in front of agency stakeholders, investors, industry partners, things like that. So that being said, I have 10 minutes for questions. So please, if you have them, let them roll. You do have one opportunity. You have another opportunity here to book a call with me. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Please put them in the Q&A box, and I would love to answer them for you. Anybody? Ask me anything. Thank you. Yes. No. Okay. Vinay, thank you for asking. Hi, Matthew. Joined late. Can you share the deck slides? Also, is this for DOE only? No, Vinay, we our service spans every agency in the United States federal government other than the National Institute of Health. And the only reason why is because we have our sister company who deals exclusively with NIH and HHS. But we are going after Department of Defense, Department of Energy, NASA, Department of Transportation, Department of Commerce, um, et cetera, NSF, uh, Department of Homeland Security, DARPA. and, and this is okay. I got that. I answered that one. And this is for SBI or STTR type opportunities. So Vinay, I'm gonna go back for you. We go for both SBIRs and broad agency announcements. Here. So we go after SBIR, STTR, and BAA. So we're going after everything for you. The idea here is that we typically function on an SBIR cycle because those solicitation windows are anywhere between 30 and 90 days, depending on the agency. But when there isn't a solicitation through an SBIR, STTR that's applicable to you, that's when we're submitting those broad agency announcement applications. And this is typical. Now, we do also have instances where we work with BAA only companies. Like if you're located, like if you don't meet these criteria here, if you have over 500 employees, or you have R&D done outside the U.S., or your ownership structure doesn't allow you to have to go after SBIRs, then we're going after only BAAs for you. And if you prefer to only go after BAAs, we can do that too. So it really just depends on your preference. But we have experience with across many different agencies. We are familiar with many different program officers, many different program offices, and we actually, we have lists of certain buzzwords that are applicable to different agencies that we make sure to utilize, things like that. Yeah, let's get back to this. All right, great. So if I don't have any more questions from you, I really wish you all the best, and I am excited to speak with those of you who booked a call with me, and excited to extend that extra 1 month offer to you. So with that, I bid you adieu, and I wish and be well. Have a great rest of your day. John, you asked, is there another fee in addition to the consultant fee? Yes. So the consultancy fee is the upfront fee, and then we have, oh, John, I'm speaking to you later. Um, we have the consultancy fee, which is that 30,000 or 36,000, and then we also have the success fee, which is 5% on any grant that we win for you. All right, everybody. I wish you all the best. Be well.